Welcome to the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel powered by InsideTexas.com. I'm Joe Cook, got Justin Wells. Got some good news. July does have some good news for Texas. And this is a big pickup for the Longhorns as Kosi Okpala out of Katy-Maid Creek committed to Texas. Chose the Longhorns over Miami, Baylor, and Penn State. Obviously, some other in-state and in-region schools were involved. But, Justin, this was a long-time lean, and Texas ended up getting them in the boat.
Yeah, this is a fun kid. They've been on this kid for almost 2 years, and you know, with him, it felt like it was gonna. You know, Texas was in it for the longest. You know, they were always going to be there. Early on, it was kind of like an in-state battle between Texas A&M, and Oklahoma. But you know, he kind of went out and did his own thing. Look, Texas needed linebackers in this class badly, and this is one that jumps in. This is an easy 4-star. He's an easy fit. He does a lot of good stuff here. His explosiveness, as you can tell by the video, is evident. He's got some Smith-Orogbo to his game, in my opinion, a little bit stronger, a little bit better inside. But, yeah, this is big just because this is Johnny Nansen getting an in-state kid that they really needed to wrap up. This is a guy that can probably make an impact in a year or two, probably in Austin. But right now, I just think this is a big get.
4-star recruit by most services on 3 has him as a 194. Overall prospect, the number 11 linebacker, the number 27 player in the state of Texas. And as you can see, his film does show him lining up a little bit on the outside. He may do some of that, but we see Trey Moore do that. We see Anthony Hill do that. And it's part of what the responsibilities of an inside linebacker, which he will be at Texas, are, and what he'll be doing when he suits up in burnt orange.
Yeah, and that's, I think, his versatility is something that really stands out to me. Like, I could see this guy playing some edge early on before he slides over to the linebacker spot, just because of his explosiveness, just because he's got that ability to track and smack and get to the quarterback. That's the thing about Okpala. I just think he can do so many things on the defensive end. He makes the defense better just because he's a guy that fits many shoes, different spots. And I think you'll see him when he'll need to get a little bit of muscle. So I think that's why you might see him do some stuff off the edge early in his career, like we saw with Anthony Hill. But once he gets a little bit bigger, a little bit smarter, I think that they'll slowly put him inside. And that's, you know, this is a guy that just explodes through the gap. He's got some Gary Johnson to his game.
I like that. And yeah, I think the fact that he does do some things already playing off the ball, that's an encouraging sign. What's this mean for someone like Johnny Nansen? You know, getting a linebacker to join this 2026 class. Have been some big high-profile targets around the country, but getting the in-state guy, again, the in-state lean to join, obviously a huge deal.
Yeah, this is good, and it's something we mentioned earlier. You know, Coach Nansen, since he's been in Austin, he's trying to make his hay. He's trying to put some skins on the wall when it comes to the recruiting process. I think, you know, this guy, Texas was on him before Nansen was ever hired. And so this was a continuation of a relationship. I think Jeff Choate was his first primary at Texas. Nansen comes in, and those guys click pretty quickly. And I think that shows you what Johnny can do. You know, a lot of people assumed he was just going to go out west, out into California with his linebacker takes. But when you got a guy in Houston a few hours away that can do this kind of stuff, I think it's big. I think they would like to add a few more guys in this cycle. But I think if this is your foundation, this is a really good start. And it shows you that Nansen can recruit these kids. You know, that's something he was good at previous stops. And all the other Texas coaches seem to be getting that big time, you know, position guy. I think Kosi's one of those guys that's pretty close to that. Being a 4-star, being a Houston area kid, give Nansen credit. Sometimes you got to keep these good prospects in state. You've got to keep them around, and I think Johnny did a good job in that regard.
You know, this is a huge piece for just going forward, because when you look at that 2025 class that they signed last year, they have Bo Barnes, who ended up as a 5-star. Got a bright future on the 40 acres. They also signed Jonathan Cunningham, who's a little bit more of like the hybrid role, a little bit different, doesn't look like a true middle linebacker, kind of looks like Maurice Blackwell did. There's room for those guys on the roster. Obviously, they did add Brad Spence out of the portal as well, and he's going to be someone who, when we think Anthony Hill goes to the next level in about a year, will be stepping in that role. So to have someone who has a middle linebacker body and can fit that middle linebacker role in this class was a big need, especially after just taking kind of one true guy at that role from the high school ranks in 2025.
And also understand, finding a true inside middle linebacker in high school these days is much harder than it used to be in the past. It's kind of a throwback of sorts. It's kind of a tough position in some aspects. I think so often we get enamored with sacks and tackles for loss and things of that sort, but you need a guy in the middle to hold things down. There's never been a national champion that didn't have a solid middle inside linebacker anchoring there. And I think that's something that Okpala is going to be able to give him. He's got some of those natural instincts. He does not get cut up in the wash. He sheds blocks pretty well, and he's great at the point of attack. Again, coming off the edge is where you see a lot of his explosiveness. But the fact that he can slide down and play inside, here's a guy coming. Here he is coming from the safety position. We talk about Jonathan Cunningham as a hybrid. There's Kosi doing a little bit more of that versatility, but it's just so hard to find a traditional inside linebacker these days. They're so used to coverage. They're so used to 7-on-7 stuff. They're just not used to playing the downhill between the gaps type stuff. Kosi Okpala, that's what he was born doing, and that's what he excels at.
Before we keep going, got to show some love to our sponsor, that is Luxe Kitchen and Bath.
This video is brought to you by Luxe Kitchen and Bath. Luxe has been offering high-end kitchen and bathroom remodels for 3 generations throughout the greater Austin area. With 5-star review after 5-star review on Google and Facebook, and an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau, you can put your faith in Luxe Kitchen and Bath's award-winning designers and skilled craftspeople to bring to life that dream vision of your special home. But that's not all. Luxe's all-star team provides full remodels, large additions, and even commercial build-outs as well. So call Luxe Kitchen and Bath at 833-358-LUXE today. Or visit luxekitchenbath.com to discover where quality meets luxury and begin the process of transforming your home. Get a free quote today by calling 833-358-LUXE. That's L-U-X-E. Or by visiting luxekitchenbath.com. Link in the description.
Listed by On3 at 6'1.5", 215, probably around that size, probably north of 200 pounds.
A little taller.
And we were talking, like I said, about someone like Jonathan Cunningham, who fits that hybrid role, kind of showed up at Texas, maybe closer to 190 or so, something like that. He'll grow into the position a little bit going forward. But it's nice for, Torrey Becton, Johnny Nansen, and even Pete Kwiatkowski, who has someone who, in a year or two is going to be ready to stand in the middle of the defense.
Yeah, and that's what I like about Okpala. Sometimes linebackers take a little while. I don't think he's going to take a ton of time. And look, I think you mentioned it earlier. You've got Anthony Hill that's probably going to be leaving. You got Trey Moore that's going to be leaving. You're resting your hands in the next cycle on guys like Leona LaFalle and Ty-Anthony Smith. You need an Elijah Bo Barnes to be ready, and you got Okpala to slide into that. Turn it, be that and turn into that assembly line style. And that's what's cool about Kosi. I think this guy's going to play relatively early. Like, he's also a kid that, don't be shocked if you see him on special teams as a freshman. That's something I think that he can contribute to as well, just because of his athleticism. And hey, when you get on the field quickly on special teams, it's not too much further along that you're on one side of the ball or the other. And so I like Kosi to play. I think with a guy like Cunningham, it's going to take a couple of years with Becton. With Kosi, I don't think it'll take as long. It took over a year with Ty-Anthony Smith, and he came in as one of the most athletic guys in the country. I think Kosi's going to have a similar growing curve. I think it'll take a little bit of time, but man, he has the frame, the mindset, the athleticism. This is just and this is a guy that I think Texas fans kind of reserved. They already kind of knew he was going to be in the mix. Get excited about Kosi Okpala. Don't take this one for granted, because to continue to play that defense the way Texas and Sark and PK have the last few years, you have to have that assembly line at linebacker. Kosi's the next one up.
Seeing a recruiting win over Penn State, Miami, and Baylor, that's a eclectic mix of schools, but that's also a mix of schools that's got some good linebacker traditions. Penn State, they have the double sticks up there. They have Jim Knowles. So to land a recruiting win over some programs with some well-known linebacker traditions is pretty darn solid for Johnny Nansen and company. We'll have more coverage over on InsideTexas.com, so make sure you go to the link in the description. And, of course, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications. You see that bell in the bottom right-hand corner, so any big breaking news that pops up over these next couple days. Texas is tracking a lot. We'll be tracking a lot here, and we will have everything you need here on the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel. So, Justin, thank you so much. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time on the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel, powered by InsideTexas.com.